Hello and welcome back. Now we've just added to our footsteps notify the ability to switch on the physical surface that we're standing on. And we get that physical surface from our blueprint callable function getSurfaceType. We're now ready to implement the other surfaces as we currently just have default and grass. Now we need metal, stone, and tile as well as water sound cues, so we can go back into our assets/sounds/footsteps folder and we can make some more sound cues. Now I'm going to look at our switch statement, and the first one here other than default is metal. So let's look at our metal footsteps that we have. It looks like we have SWFS metal 0, 1 all the way up to 10. So let's go ahead and create a sound cue. I'm going to right click on metal 10 and create cue. Now we called the grass footstep cue footstep underscore grass. So I'm going to name the metal cue footstep underscore metal. Now let's go ahead and open up footstep metal. And we have the metal 10. Now we're going to drag in all the other metal footstep sounds we have. So select FS metal 01 all the way up through 9, and we can click and drag this up to the metal tab and release here. Now I'm going to move 10 down to the bottom and disconnect it, and I'll go ahead and select all 10 and right click and type random to get a random node. And with all of them selected, the random node is created with all of them plugged in, which saves us time. Now I can plug the output into the output node, and now we can hit play cue. And each time we hit it, we get a different selection from the metal footsteps. So now we have a footstep metal option. Now I'm going to go back to the notify, and the next one we have is stone. So let's see if we have some stone footsteps. So it looks like we have footstep rock 1 through 6. So let's right click on footstep rock 1, create cue, and call this footstep underscore stone. Now let's open this up, and we'll go ahead and select 2 through 6, click and drag, and bring them into footstep stone. Now we can select all of them, create a random node, and plug this into the output node. So this gives us a footstep stone cue. Let's look at the next one in our switch statement, and it's tile. So we'll look for some tile footsteps, and it looks like we have tile footsteps 1 through 10. So I'm going to go ahead and right click on the 10, create a cue, and call this footstep underscore tile. Now let's open footstep tile, and then we'll select 01 through 09 for the tile footsteps, and bring those into footstep tile. And of course we can select them all and make a random node and plug it in. Now looking back at our switch statement, next we already have grass, so we need a water footsteps. Now we have 1 through 4 for our water footsteps. Let's create a cue and call this footstep underscore water. Let's open that up. And we'll go ahead and take 2 through 4 and drag that into footstep water, and select all of these, create a random node, and plug it in. Okay, so we have sound cues for each type of footstep. Let's click Save All so that we've got all of these saved. And back in our footsteps notify, what I'd like to do is take a look at our place sound at location and spawn system at location nodes. Now the place sound at location node takes an input of type soundbase object reference. Now we can right click and promote this to a local variable, and we can call this footstep sound. Now, I'd like to do the same for the Niagara system object reference passed into spawn system at location. Let's promote that to a local variable as well, and we'll call this footstep Niagara system. Now, if we compile, you'll see that these get default values that we can set in the details panel. But we can also set these here in the editor. And what I'd like to do is set them to different values depending on the switch cases. So let's go ahead and delete these two nodes down here. And we're going to add setters to these for each case of the switch statement. Now, to get these yellow wires out of the way, I'm going to double click on them and create some reroute nodes. So I'll go ahead and create 4 reroute nodes and get these out of the way. Now, for default, we can simply play the footstep sound and spawn the Niagara system and leave these at their default values. That's fine. But for the metal, we're going to want to set these. I'm going to hold Alt and click and drag footstep sound to get a setter, and click and drag footstep Niagara system to get a setter for that, and hook metal up to these. Now for metal, I'm going to select footstep metal for the sound cue. And for the footstep Niagara system, we're going to want a footstep for this. Let's take a look at the footsteps that we have in our project. So let's go to a surface footstep, click the drop down, and from there go to Niagara Effects and Particle Systems. Now let's scroll down to the Niagara systems that we have here. And we can simply double click on each of these to see what they look like. Here's General Surface 1, which is basically like a little puff of dust or steam. This is actually probably perfect for the default particle system. So I'm going to go back into Footsteps Notify and select Footstep Niagara System and set this one to General 1 Surface. Here's General 2 Surface, which is similar to 1, but it looks like there are more particles in there, almost like some ice or some crystals disintegrating. Let's take a look at the gravel surface. So the gravel looks like some dust and little bits of rock and pebbles are being kicked up. So this would be perfect for our stone surface. Now we have a water heavy and a water light surface. Let's take a look at water light. So it's a nice little mini splash. Now let's look at water heavy. Water heavy looks pretty similar. I don't see much of a difference between water light. If anything, water light almost looks even bigger. So that's good to know. So the question is, which of these do we choose for our Niagara system? Well, it's really up to you, but we can go ahead and choose some values here now. So for metal, now since we don't really expect to see much dust kicked up from a metal surface, we can use our General 1, since General 1 is just a little bit of dust. So we'll go ahead and set that to General 1. Now I'm going to copy these, and we can now think about the stone. And for stone, I'm going to type stone and get our footstep stone sound cue. And for the Niagara system, I think we'll use gravel. That seems appropriate. So I'm going to type gravel and set this to gravel. Now tile is another tricky one, but just to make this different than the metal particle systems, I'm going to use General 2 since it looks like it's got a little bit more dust and debris. So the footstep will be our tile footstep, footstep tile, and the Niagara system will be General 2. We'll hook that up, and I'll go ahead and copy these setters. And now for grass. Footsteps, we're going to use grass, footstep grass. And for the Niagara system, I'm going to type grass and use the grass surface. Let's get these yellow wires out of the way. And now for the water surface. For the sound, I'm going to type water and use footstep water. And for the Niagara system, I'm going to use this water light. So I'm going to type water and get water light surface. Now these have their own default values, but just to be consistent, I'm going to copy the setters and set these values here for the default case as well, and they're going to be metal and general 1 surface. Now we can take all of these cases and plug them all into this play sound node. So no matter which case, they all lead to the same node where we play the sound. And we're setting footstep sound and footstep Niagara system in the switch case. So we're just simply passing those in to the play sound and spawn system at location nodes. Now for the return node, we can check this to return a true value to indicate the success of this notify. So why don't we compile this and go ahead and hit play and walk on different surfaces and see what happens. Here's the tile, and we get our tile sounds and a very subtle particle system. That's that general 2, I believe. Now let's go on to the metal, and we now get the metal surface, and it's a little bit of a sort of cloud, a little white cloud of steam or dust. Let's look at our rock surface now. And we get a more gravelly sort of footstep, and we get gravel chunks being kicked up. Now grass, we know what that sounds like and looks like. That sounds and looks good. Let's jump on to the water now. And now we have water footsteps, and we're kicking up some water, so that looks and sounds great. Okay, so that's going to conclude this video. In the next video, we're going to look at a couple other things that are missing. For one, we don't hear any sounds when we jump or when we land, so we need some jumping and landing sounds. So we'll take care of that in the next video. I'll see you then.